What's up guys, welcome to Vintage Genetics, where it is all about classic bodybuilding. And from the European Pro Victory, we were down back in the Netherlands for 2 days before flying back to Dubai, where I am right now. As of this moment, it is Saturday, the day before the show, but I'm going to show you exactly how we traveled here, how the weigh-ins went, how the shape checks go. So thank you already for watching, and let's get started with the video. Alright, so this is the morning before leaving to Dubai. It is Thursday morning, very early this time, because Dubai, it's not just 2.5 hours flying, just like to Spain last week. This time it's 6.5 hours of flying, plus the time zone changes, so we arrive 6.5 hours later, plus 2 extra hours for the time zone change. So we flew around 11:40 and we landed around 8:30 almost, so that's quite a lot later. So a lot of preparations needed to be made, such as 4 whole meals, but I did the exact same thing as when I went to Alicante. So these 4 meals are literally just chicken and low fiber vegetable like cucumber and a bit of zucchini, but that's it. And I had a few rice cakes, like 4 very small rice cakes of about 100 calories in total added, because you don't want to suck down way too much. But the plan did for sure work next day. But the plan is to really reduce fiber weight in the intestines, and that way you can actually lower your weight the next day, because Friday morning was the weigh-in, and the lower that I weigh, the easier it is to make those weigh-ins. So then I can actually have some breakfast before weighing in, instead of having to starve yourself and not drink anything before the weigh-in, which a lot of people have to do. And you will see later on, some people didn't even make weight in the morning, which to me is always quite a mystery.
Het verschil moet er ook wel zijn, een bakje voor jou.
Nou, maar ja, qua calorieën soms, dan in het dieet had ze wel mee verslagen, nog? And if anything is a sign of some good spirits, it will be this double rainbow, of course. And right after this, we are driving with my own car to Schiphol Airport, which always takes at least 1.5 hours to almost 2 hours this time, with a lot of traffic jams. But I chose my own car because it's way bigger for all the suitcases. I personally take 2 big suitcases with me for all the supplements. I like to take my rice flour with me, my whey protein, all of my supplements, as I mentioned, the clothing, and a lot of other stuff that somehow fills up my suitcase entirely. Also, actually, food like that. And on the plane, I had to drink quite a lot. With ultra vitamin syrup by ESN, it really does help. Pretty much 0 calories, but you add it to your water, and you can down a few liters of water easily on that flight. As I mentioned, it was 6.5 hours. Every 2 hours I simply had a meal with the chicken and the vegetables, and I drank about 1 to 1.5 liters in between those meals to make sure that any stress from the flight has alleviated my body and no water weight will be held. And then we landed in Dubai Airport, waiting for the suitcases, of course. And the nice thing, I always put like a Samsung tag in my suitcase, and then I can watch if my suitcase has actually arrived at the airport. Because I had once and even twice that my suitcase was lost, which is a nightmare of a bodybuilder. So having a Samsung tag in there, I can check my phone to see if the suitcase is actually in the same country, in the same airport, and knowing that already reduces stress, so that is a very big tip for you. And then we actually went into Dubai. The temperature shock was very high. It was around 20 degrees Celsius in the Netherlands, but 40 plus degrees Celsius in Dubai, which is literally double the temperature. And of course, in the elevator, in the apartment building, I had to check my shape a little bit. And then we actually went to Tower 2. We did have room 902, but it was the wrong tower. So this time we're going to try the right tower. Tower number 3, but all in all, the experience was very nice. As you can see, the apartment is nice and big, which is what I like. And some people might be wondering,
Keuken goedgekeurd?
when you see the bedrooms as well, I like to have a separate bedroom for everybody coming with me. Even when my own girlfriend comes with me, we both have a separate bedroom. Why? Well, one simple reason. First of all, she goes to bed earlier than me and I go later, and you don't want to disturb each other when you're in such high, exciteful / stressful situation. You just want everything to be perfect, but most importantly, I have a tan on, and it really ruins the entire bed with my tanning color. So that's the last thing you want, is to share the bed with someone that doesn't have a tan, and it won't be, nice to really mess up the bed with her in it. And I put a special sheet on my bed to ensure that I don't mess up the original sheeting around the bed covers and stuff. So I always take one from home, and then I can simply wash it. Because in this apartment we also have a washing machine, a dishwasher, and as you can see, a nice big kitchen with a big fridge and a freezer, just to ensure that everything that I'm used to at home is the exact same in this apartment. Yes, you pay a little extra, but to me that is very much worth it, because if you want to be successful as a bodybuilder at the highest level, you simply have to lower your stress, lower the effort as much as possible, and only focus on what you have to do without any hassle at all. So this is my own bedroom on a 9th floor with a nice view of Dubai, which to me still feels very special to be here. Also a nice big bathroom with pretty decent lighting, and to me the lighting is pretty important, because then I can actually check my shape the moment that I wake up to see if everything is still there. Seeing those little details and the delts in the arms and the quads really does tell me how my shape is, because I see specific striations in my physique that tell me how conditioned I truly am, which to me is always very important. In deze keuken hebben we dus een waterfilter. En die kan je gewoon zo aansluiten. Je krijgt gefilterd water. En dat smaakt nog eens goed ook. And then we went to the supermarket to get the essentials. As I mentioned, I already did take some chicken with me, some supplements with me, some whey, some rice flour. But for that day when we arrived, I still needed to have one meal with added fats. Normally I would have a salmon meal with egg whites. I did find the egg whites, but no real salmon here. So what I did choose is 6 whole eggs for the last meal of the day, which kind of mimics the amount of fat I would normally have pre-bed. So simple, some eggs, some vegetables in the form of low fiber mushrooms and egg whites will do the job.
Spugen vandaag, en ook omdat morgen de laatmaaltijd is, hebben we ook alvast heel veel bananen gepakt als fruitbron. En dan gaan we even eens rondkijken te zien of er nog meer bruikbare dingen zijn.
So I also got some bananas, which I also consumed the previous time. Always a cream of rice with bananas for the extra potassium and the extra carbohydrates, instead of strawberries or other fruits with a higher FODMAP value, which causes bloating, and also higher volume with not as much carbs or not as much potassium. So bananas for me are perfect. Then I also went looking for some coconut water, which is what I drank right after the show in Alicante, which is what I will do also in Dubai. So I will have that coconut water with me right backstage, and the moment I am done with the competition, I down those 2 liters of coconut water, allowing me to go to a nice restaurant loaded with sodium and not having to worry about holding too much water. And of course, whenever you're in a supermarket, you look at all the goodies there, but then I mentioned, well, yes, I can get this in the Netherlands as well, but what I can get in the Netherlands is the amazing restaurant quality meals you can have in Dubai, which is unique to this location, which of course we are going to go to, and I'll show you exactly how that'll go. In de koffer. Dus nu de laatste maaltijd voorbereiden, lekker slapen en morgen lekker wegen. Voor iedereen die vraagt waar deze bril vandaan komt, blauwblokker. Blokkeert het blauwe licht zodat je makkelijk in slaap valt. A little bit more.
En dit keer het belangrijkste van een bodybuilder niet vergeten. De weegschaal.
Ja, dat is klopt. Hey, dit wordt lekker mijn bak om te eten. Here is that meal, just putting a bit of mushrooms in the pan with all the eggs and a little bit of liquid egg whites, about 150 grams of liquid egg whites. Then about 100 grams of mushrooms, that is more than enough to keep the protein synthesis going and slow down the digestion by adding the fats. And the mushrooms are there simply for a bit more volume, a bit more health, and just a bit more mouth feel for this meal, honestly. But these exact mushrooms I will be using as the vegetable source for pretty much all of my rice meals throughout the peak week, because those are never giving me any trouble. You can actually eat these brown mushrooms raw as well, but obviously I do bake it in the pan. And this is a nice shaker cup by ESN. You can get them in green, pink, blue, orange, nice and vibrant. So then we take all of our night supplements. And I had one or two or multiple comments telling me about that I take way too much melatonin. And that is a hormone, a molecule that enhances sleep. So your body naturally produces it whenever it gets dark outside. But it also has been proven, especially as a bodybuilder who partakes in professional competitions, that you need a high amount, well, you actually can utilize a high amount of melatonin to ensure an antioxidant effect in the brain, and at the same time you sleep way easier with it, and at the same time you don't get used to it, which a lot of people think as well. You don't get hooked up to it, you don't get addicted to it, and you don't get reliant on it to go to sleep. So you simply use it whenever you need it, and I simply see it as another health supplement to use before I go to bed. Is wat een bodybuilder nodig heeft die op hoog niveau traint en aan bodybuilding doet en wedstrijden doet. Aangezien er ook heel wat dingen gebeuren waardoor je juist vrije radicalen aanmaakt in de hersenen, en dan kan je dus tegengaan met antioxidanten. En daarnaast het andere geloof is dat je eraan gewend raakt. Maar dat is dus ook niet zo. Je raakt niet gewend aan melatonine. Als in dat je het per se moet nemen om te kunnen slapen. Dat ook zo doen. Dus al in al is het, probeer het gewoon eens uit. So, here is the meal finished. Right before going to bed, I always put a bit of Heinz tomato ketchup over my meals, also over all the rice meals during peak week. It is zero added sugar and zero sodium, so it won't really have any effect at all, apart from making the meal taste better. And this is also a sauce that I've been using the entire prep as well, so my body knows exactly what it feels like, how it digests, and I know it as well. No bloating from this at all, as it literally is just some tomato paste. So this is my last meal of the day, going to bed, trying to sleep for a couple of hours at least. Gewoon een ontbijt eten zonder restricties. Een beetje drinken erbij, een beetje drinken meenemen, wegen en dan verder met laden. En dat zie je morgen. I managed to sleep 6 hours, and then it was the next day, Friday, the 22nd of September. And we did some shape checks right here, just some shape updates to ensure that the coach knows exactly how I look, and he gave the go-ahead to start the loading. And of course we had to talk to Dexter a little bit. Beweging in Dubai Trade Center in de Arena Hall, waar we dus zo om 10 uur gaan wegen met de rest van de atleten. Volgens mij doen er zelfs meer mee dan in Alicante, meer dan 20. Dus dit wordt eigenlijk gewoon een beetje de Arnold Classic van Classic Physique als in de kwaliteit van atleten. Dus ik ben heel erg benieuwd hoe ik daartussen sta. Maar het is altijd gewoon leuk om meer atleten zo te zien en kijken wie het gewicht wel en niet haalt. And that was pretty cool. We ran into a branch, of course a Chinese competitor who will be, pretty sure the top 5 in this show for sure, depending on his condition, but I think he has a very good shape, as I of course saw him in real life now. And then we were just all waiting for the weigh-ins, which as I mentioned was announced at 10 a.m. but was actually a whole lot later. because as you know, that's always how it goes, usually at least an hour later than you think. So by that time I was quite hungry and quite thirsty, because you simply don't want to risk anything if you eat a meal there and you're just overweight, over the weight limit. I mean, that kind of sucks, because you could have prevented it. So here I am walking down to the weigh-ins, and Bob Ciccarello is the MC. And of course, Steve Weinberger is the head judge right here, which means, and he also mentioned it, this will be judged exactly as the Mr. Olympia. So this is like a pre-Olympia competition. So the placing that you get here, you know, granting that you have your best shape, will actually kind of predict also how you're going to place at the Olympia. So that's pretty cool. And of course, we simply made weight quite easily. I weighed 111.4 kilos with clothing on, which is about 245 pounds with clothes on. And my weight limit is 249 pounds or 112.9 kilograms. Right after weighing in, I drank a liter of water, and I ate my second meal of the day, which is rice with a bit of chicken, with a bit of mushroom, with a bit of dates, and a bit of peanut butter. So every meal has some carbs, highest amount of carbs, around 100 plus grams, and a form of potassium, and a form of fat, and a form of protein. The only true difference with my normal off-season diet would be that I would have more vegetables and would have more protein. The vegetables you don't need right now because you don't want to slow down digestion and you don't want the fiber in your stomach. And the protein you don't need because the carbohydrates that I have, which are 8 meals a day, are protein sparing.
So what's on the meal plan for now?
Right now we are going to create, right after the weigh-ins, the cream of rice meal. Kind of late in the day for the third meal, but we're going to create the cream of rice victory meal. So we're going to alternate between this meal and a regular rice meal, and all of them have around a little more than 100 grams of carbs every time. So I'll also be adding a banana here, 120 grams of cream of rice, or just rice flour, honestly. This is literally just white rice flour. And to that we are adding ESN Designer Whey, dark Calabout chocolate, right here, of course, and 10 grains of salt. I've been doing that pretty much the whole prep, so you want to keep it consistent. And then also a little bit of sweetener. Normally I would use Flavin' Tasty, but I didn't take it with my suitcase because, you know, taking everything from home takes a bit of too much space. So we're just going to use regular stevia sweetener, a little bit of cinnamon, just like that. And then always use a whisker to mix everything up. All the dry ingredients first, before adding the water. Boiling water. This is, by the way, filtered water, because in Dubai you can't really drink from the faucet. Mix it up. Until you see it's becoming a nice and smooth consistency. And once that is reached, you add the Calabout chocolate. 15 grams, boom, of dark chocolate. This is called Calabout Power 80. So it's almost like it's made for bodybuilders, right? And it also has, of course, healthy antioxidants and also nitric oxide boosting properties, which means it's even better for a bodybuilder to get a good pump. Now we are going to add a banana. Boom. Just like this. Right on top here. Banana contains potassium, And why am I using bananas and not strawberries like usual? Because of course I need a more dense carbohydrate meal. But also, this contains potassium and I'm missing the micronutrients from my diet because I'm not eating a lot of vegetables anymore, which in my normal diet would be there in the form of leafy greens, zucchini and stuff like that. Last but not least, we are going to add a little bit of whey. Kaboom. Open. Adding around as much water as whey. Let's put the whey paste on top. Honestly, you could mix this through the cream of rice, but putting it on top tastes so much better. Especially because it's dark cookies and cream. So the normal cookies and cream taste kind of bland from other brands, but ESN manages to make this taste incredible, like always. So why not make it enjoyable if you can? So this is kind of the routine. Eating your meals. So this is meal number 3. We still now need 4 more meals after, no? Yeah, 4 more meals or 5 more meals actually after this. So after I eat this meal, I'm gonna see, okay, I'm gonna go to bed at like 11, then divide the time left with the amount of meals, and then I know how many meals I need to have in how much time. And on the computer, I'm just doing some workout plans, nutrition plans, coaching, and just relaxing in general, which is very important when you're loading. Alright, so I'm alternating between the cream of rice meals and a regular rice meal. With the regular rice meal, I usually have a protein and a fat source separately in the form of chicken and peanut butter. But because I prefer salmon, and you never know if a country has, or a city has proper salmon, but they do right here. And I'm going to use salmon as my protein source and fat source in one. I've been using this the whole prep anyway. And since it's almost the last bit of the day, we're also increasing the amount of fat a little bit. So it's going to be around 150 grams, or actually 175 grams of salmon right here. Cutting it up into little pieces. And I love it since the skin is still on. You can crisp it up nicely in the pan, which is already on the fire. This is not the best knife, as you can see. But I've pretty much broken every knife in every apartment I've been in, so let's just try to be careful. Alright, put this back. Already cooked all the rice. Beautiful. Uncle Ben's rice, of course, my favorite. So I cook it at the beginning of the day. So I just divide the rice with each meal, so it approximately is the same amount every time. And then I just cook everything again in the pan, together with a bit of mushrooms and also dates. Why the dates? Well, as I mentioned before, just like with the banana, dates and raisins as well contain quite a lot of potassium. And potassium is something you need to be able to load carbohydrates in your muscle. And because your body is used to getting in sodium and potassium in your regular diet, where a lot of zucchini and leafy vegetables were present, now they are not present, so you have to replace those with another food group, which is of course dates, because they also have carbohydrates, which is amazing. It tastes very good. So first we're just gonna put out the salmon with the skin side down, let that crisp up, and then stir fry everything together, which you will see right now. And of course, the turmeric powder to create the golden rice. Secret ingredient. And a little bit of black pepper. And as always, the grind of salt. Without salt and water, you cannot take up the carbohydrates which we need to load. So it's really stupid if you're gonna load up without water and without salt. So, in a day I have 8 meals, 4 of them rice flour, 4 of them like this. So after this, I'll have 1 more meal. And you've already seen that meal, that is a rice flour meal. The only difference is there will be more calabash chocolate. Instead of 15 grams, there will be 30 grams. Because the last meal today only has a bit more fat to carry throughout the night. And then tomorrow, we're just gonna weigh in. Right now is still way below 113, so 112.9. So my weight is only increasing with a few hundred grams every time I eat a meal. So that's actually good news, because it increases less compared to the previous loading at the peak week that I had in Alicante. So maybe this will provide an even better look, because around 112.5 to 113, that's when I have my best look, in my opinion, in terms of physique, in terms of the combination of fullness and conditioning. So that's what I'm going to aim for on the day of the show itself. And the day of the show, I will be competing at 7 p.m., which you will also see how I'm going to do that, because at the European Pro, we were competing in the morning. Now we're going to compete in the evening, giving us more room to play around with the weight and the look. So it's going to be exciting, but for now, I'm going to enjoy this one. Alright guys, it's already time for the last meal of the day. We have the rice flour meal right here with, of course, ESN Designer Whey on top. But the only real difference is, instead of 50 grams of calabash chocolate, dark chocolate, we have 30 grams to get me through the night with the extra fats. But that's the only difference. 8th meal of the day. So after this, we're going to sleep. I'm going to try to sleep for about 8 hours. The last bit of water is right here. I think I'll weigh in between 114, a bit above 114 kilos, and I think I'll weigh in at 111 kilos tomorrow morning, which will be another loading day. Tomorrow is Saturday, and Sunday will be the show, which I'm absolutely excited for. And tomorrow's video will be about the second loading day, as I mentioned, but also the manipulations with water, with salt, my coaches, Stefan Kienzel, tips, tricks, protocols, and shape updates and more. And after that, we will be doing the show here in Dubai on the biggest stage in the Middle East. Anyway guys, I really want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and tick the bell to be notified of the next video, which will be out very soon. Once again, thanks for the support, and don't forget to stay golden.